periods. Okay, Old Kingdom. This was really the glory age of ancient Egypt, when you got all the stuff that would later make Indiana Jones possible, like the pyramids at Giza and the Sun King Ra and the idea of divine kingship. The king, or pharaoh, was either a god or very close to a god, which seems like a good gig, except that it meant he wasn't expected to act like a person, he was expected to act like a god, which in ancient Egypt means acting like the Nile. Calm, cool, benevolent. There's no fun in that. And then, of course, there are the pyramids, which, aside from remaining impressive to behold, represent a remarkable degree of political and social control over the population, because it is not easy to convince people to devote their lives to building a sarcophagus for someone else. The most famous pyramids were built between 2575 and 2465 BCE. The one with the Sphinx was built for Khephren. The largest, the Great Pyramid, was built for the pharaoh Khufu. The pyramids were built partly by peasants who were required by Egyptian law to work for the government a certain number of months per year, and partly by slaves, but not by Moses and the Jews, who showed up on the scene long before the pyramids were ever even a twinkle in Khufu's eye. This leads to an overwhelming question. Why? Why, in the sweet name of Ra, would anyone ever build such a thing? Well, let's start with Ra. So Ra started out as a regional god reigning over Heliopolis, but he eventually became really central to the entire pantheon of gods in ancient Egypt. He was the god of the sun, but also the god of creation. And the thinking was that if humans did their jobs, then the pantheon of gods would maintain cosmic order. And since the pharaohs became gods upon their death, it made sense to please them, even unto pyramids. Egyptian popular religion also embraced the belief in amulets and magic and divination, and the belief that certain animals, especially cats, had divine power. And yes, I did bring that up just so I could lolcat. Old Kingdom Egypt was also remarkably literate. They had two forms of writing, hieroglyphics for sacred writing, and then demotic script for recording contracts and agreements and other boring stuff. The last thing I want to say about Old Kingdom Egypt, it was ridiculously rich. But then, around 2250 BCE, there were a series of droughts and pharaohs started fighting over who should have power, and we had an intermediate